Been using the panel saw for a little while now. One of the little tedious things that we've discovered is if you need to take 10 mil or whatever measurement off a piece of wood, you have to physically, well, this is where we've been doing it. We've been physically measuring from the blade to the edge of the wood and then aligning it that way, then clamping it all down, then running through the saw. This proves to be time consuming. So what we've come up with, I'm sure other people have done it as well, but we've just, in our head, we wanted a little marker on there to show us exactly where the blade would be. So quite simply, we've made a little block of wood up here. This one here. It's only held on with double-sided sticky tape because we didn't want it to be permanent. If we ever need to move it or we have a problem, we can take it off and make a new one. But we've put that on and then chopped it right down so it runs obviously exactly with the edge of the blade. And now we know if we put a piece of wood on, we can run it to that edge and we know exactly where the edge of the blade is. So we can set the wood up when the carriage is pulled back, and then we put on there, move it over the measurement that we need from a mark. Oh, let's get a bit of wood, I'll show you. So we have a piece of wood here, for example. Say we want to trim off, there's about 10 mil there. So if we want to trim this off, we get the piece of wood, pop the piece of wood on here. Oh, let me move around to this side. Let's see what we're doing. So get the bit of wood on, we can then just slide this across. Trying to do it one-handed. Try to slide this across. So that line then lines up to there. We can then put our clamp on. Clamp it all down, run it through, and we know that's going to cut exactly there. Another thing we were finding is if we need to have a piece of wood, because a lot of our work is angled, so it's not 90 degrees, the boards aren't normally square. So say we had a board like this, which is 10 mil, we didn't want to take that end, and say we wanted to come, say, to this mark over here, we never knew where the blade was over this side, the edge of the blade, so the cut line. So we physically line it up, pull it through, and clamp it down again, and then run through the saw this way. Again, we've come up with a clamp at this end of the bench, or the carriage, I should say. It'll work when the board's like that. So we go back to that one, that's 10 mil over. There's a 10 mil here. So we made this little jig here. There's the bottom of it. We put super glue on the bottom. You can see that. Obviously it looks a mess as if it's a mistake, but that was actually put on. So that slides on the aluminium bed a lot easier. So that slides on there. And this way we can just slide it. Prior to that, the friction between the wood and the bed, it would mean it would stick every now and again. So we've made a little wheel here. And slide this up. Slide it to there. Obviously, line this piece of wood up here. Onto that. It looks a bit different on the camera. Line that up to there. Clamp that down. This is nice and solid. This isn't going anywhere. And then we can run that through the saw as normal. Also, like I was saying earlier, if we need to move this and have a slightly angled cut, what we can do, we can move that over there to the measurement of the piece of wood, slide this up, then all we need to do is get a straight edge. So same old line was over here, over there. We just need to move this up, a straight edge on here of any kind, and move that over to there. And then from there, we clamp it down here. There's a front mark on there, and then when we cut that, we're going to be cutting off on an angle to the line we actually need on the piece of wood. This jig, obviously, you can clamp it down anywhere. You can use it as a push. It's just a piece of wood. We had a company logo engraved in there. Obviously, we have a CNC machine, so we can do that. We engraved this in here, this whole jig, and then be removed and be put elsewhere. But we'll just leave it on there. What we might do is add a clamp to this, put a clamp on here so that can clamp the wood directly rather than have to use a separate clamp, which will obviously it'd be a good idea, but we didn't have a clamp available or shelving so on our racks here, so we just made it as it is for a moment. We'll buy a clamp and stick that on another time. Okay, thanks for that then. Cheers.